Climate headlines now. Felicia Combs is joining us. Hey, Felicia.
Hey, guys. Yeah, let's talk about it because some pretty interesting headlines today. Let's take a look at it. Europe. So, we started out with a little bit of a womp, womp, womp. But, guys, it ended on two high notes. Everyone, no matter who you are, even if you're the queen, you should clean up and help recycle. And then also a cheers in order. You love to see these big old companies that have been around.
I knew that we got it.
I heard you giggle a little bit, and it gave me enough confidence to keep reading.
See what I did there? It'd be interesting, but we almost need to make this like part of the economy as like, here's your job.
Right. Yeah.
Cleanup crew.
Right.
And, it could be a starter job or whatever, but that way, because, even if we were to...
There are a lot of programs, like you said, especially now for kids to get into college.
That's a good
volunteer
point.
hours you need.
I would never get into college if I had to get in college right now. It is intense, the process that all these kids are going through to get in.
Well, if they need some volunteer hours, we know where they can go and do it.
Pickups. All right, Felicia, thank you so much. Well, price across the country, and Felicia, things heating up, cooling down. We're kind of all over the place with our temperatures.
We're a little all over the place, that's for sure. Maybe you woke up this morning and you're like, what is going on? Tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit more of that for a city like Atlanta. This is going to be the story for a lot of the southeast. Atlanta tomorrow morning, we're waking up below freezing. Of course, some of the northern suburbs even colder than that. But by Wednesday afternoon, we're back in the lower 70s and sunny skies. So if you're trying to make some plans, Wednesday is going to be your day for it. That sunshine is shining. We've got freeze warnings up across much of the south. You can see the lower Mississippi River Valley stretching all the way over into the Carolinas. Cities like Birmingham, Jackson included in that. Couple frost advisories and freeze watches as well. With this freeze warning, if maybe you already put some of those plants outside because we were seeing the warmer weather, you might want to cover those. And do keep in mind, especially in some of the northern places where we're going to see the colder temperatures, Nashville, Huntsville, maybe think about keeping those pipes dripping. You should be fine. This isn't all that cold, but it is still pretty cold for this late in the season. Our temperatures tomorrow morning, this is what it's looking like down in the 20s in Birmingham. And we are going to have a little bit of a breeze tonight and even into tomorrow. So that's going to make it feel a bit colder than it actually is. Waking up cold tomorrow morning, but we rebound really nicely. Look at this. We make it into the 60s in Atlanta, upper 50s in Raleigh. So still a little bit below average, but that is quite the warm up when you're talking about waking up down below freezing. Here's what's going on. We have our dip in the jet stream that's bringing us our cold air as we're waking up for Tuesday morning. Low temperatures well below freezing. You got your frost. You've got your freezing temperatures as well. Maybe you want to think about heating the car up a little bit earlier, which is something that's probably gone out of a lot of our minds by this time in the year. We'll still see some of that cold air sticking around for the northern fringes of the country, but we'll start to see the warmth returning to the south as we head into the later part of the week. You can see 60s and 70s highs near average, but that high below average is going to be the trend that we see for the northern portions of the country. Highs on Thursday, you can see it here, Chicago lower 40s, Boston same thing, DC lower 50s. Meanwhile, we have that warmth returning across the south, and not just there, you see that warm nose in Denver. We're allowing some of that warmth and moisture to be pulled northward there, so it's going to be a little bit of a flip-flop for a lot of us. What we're looking at overall as we head into the last week of March, very likely below average for a huge chunk of the country, especially across the northern tier there. It's just the northeast that's looking like we might have above average temperatures to round out this month. Guys, we're going to talk more about who's seeing snow. That's coming up shortly.
I can't believe spring is officially tomorrow. Vernal equinox, right? Equal daylight and nighttime.
Doesn't seem like it, though.
I'm so ready, right?
It's like we're jumping back to winter. We're going the wrong way.
All right, Felicia, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
An annual,
so I get to save,
fingers.
Yeah, I can save a lot of money. That's great. French fries. Yeah, grilled cheese.
The good stuff. Yeah.
That's me.
I mean, all that sounds good.
I'm a cheap date.
Keep that in mind. No, I like caviar though. I've had it it's some different caviar. It just kind of depends. But I'd rather have a grilled cheese any day and chicken fingers. All right, let's talk about where you might want a grilled cheese. Maybe some soup because you got the cold temperatures. You've got the snow falling. You can see here our dip in the jet stream swinging through. We have the perfect setup for in the snow belts here around the Great Lakes, getting that just pumping of the lake effect snow. You see it coming off here, and you've got some gusty winds coming along with that. Look at that. Gust at 33 miles per hour around Watertown, Syracuse, breezy for you as well. You can see our different setups that we have here, all the different lakes putting out that lake effect snow right now, which of course would not be happening if they were covered in ice, but considering they're wide open, or most of them are wide open, we're seeing that lake effect snow pumping out. That's continuing through the day. You get a little bit of a break. Tuesday, we'll have another spurt of lake effect snow here across Lake Erie, off Lake Ontario as well. And then Wednesday, another little spurt, and it's really going to add up in some places places in a bigger way than others. You can see here the Tug Hill, which is typically where we see some of our bigger totals, guys. We're going to see some of the higher totals there. Otherwise, just kind of a smattering, but it's that last little gasp of winter that we always expect during this time of year.
Yeah, we are. Felicia, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so we are 78 days into the year. How are those?
Felicia, and Felicia, of course, sand, glass, right? That's how it all works, grind it on down. People want to go to the beach and get away from the cold.
Well, or maybe they want to be in the cold, because a lot of the places that you might expect the snow, we're having huge deficits for places like Duluth or Minneapolis. But if you want to go to the beach, we're going to talk about that shortly. We've got to look at your spring break forecast across Florida. Today might not be the best day for it, but if you're hoping for a little bit of snow where we have these huge deficits, today might be your lucky day, or at least the next couple days will be your lucky day this week. You can see our snowfall departures across portions of the Midwest since September 1st. We're looking at huge below average snowfall totals in places like Duluth and in Minneapolis. You can see we're talking about that in feet, really, over 4 feet there in Duluth, Chicago over a foot, Green Bay over a foot, as well as Indianapolis. Now, here's what we're looking at in terms of the models. I want to point this out to you because here's a look at the European model. The European model does have a swath of moderate snow here across portions of the Dakotas, Minnesota. The American model certainly more bullish and a little bit farther south for the snow that we could see. This is Wednesday through Friday, so this is middle to late part of your week with the next little system moving through. The American model sometimes does this. It goes kind of all gangbusters and then has to pull it back, but somewhere kind of in between those models is something what you might expect. Minneapolis, you've got that snow coming down. So guys, even though we're headed into, what is considered the start of spring, some of us that have been hoping for that snow might get a little last gasp of it. And then, of course, we're going to talk about that beach weather coming up.
And they don't have to shovel it, it seems like.
Yeah,
unless you're in that moderate to heavy, if that verifies. But
we'll see.
The sun angle.
Felicia, thank you.
So, yeah.
I appreciate the support, Felicia.
Yeah, I got your back, Steph. Let's talk about it because we got to talk about the weather as well. I mentioned if you're doing spring break, we've got that possibility for storms across really the state of Florida today. But look at these temperatures, and the temperatures aren't telling the whole story. You've got the storms and you've got that humidity as well. So take a look at the future radar here. We're going to have storms blossoming on and off. A little bit of a break now along that 95 corridor, but we'll have the rounds of those storms moving through your afternoon. Some of those along that I-4 corridor as well, and some of those could be a bit feisty. We're talking maybe some hail, which I know isn't like the #1 thing you think of with storms in Florida. Some gusty winds, some of that heavy rain as well. Tomorrow looks much better, guys. So if you are trying to spring break in Florida, tomorrow looks better the rest of the week too.
Appreciate it. All right, well, climate change